There's a strange kind of power that lives inside silence. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't fight for validation. It just exists, still, steady, unshakable. Most people never understand it. They mistake silence for weakness, calm for emptiness, peace for surrender. But those who have truly learned to master themselves, they know. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of control. There was a time when you reacted to everything, every insult, every misunderstanding, every small betrayal. It all shook you. You'd argue, defend, prove, explain. You'd pour your energy into noise, thinking that if you just said the right words, the world would finally understand. But the more you spoke, the more the world drowned you out. You began to realize that not everyone deserves access to your energy, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Because silence isn't retreat, it's strategy. The calm mind doesn't mean a weak one, it means a focused one. When you stop explaining, people start wondering. When you stop reacting, the world loses control over you. And that's when you finally begin to win, not by shouting louder, but by moving wiser. There's something terrifying about a person who has learned to stay calm in chaos. The world doesn't know how to break someone who doesn't feed the fire. When you no longer chase validation, when you stop trying to prove your worth, your silence becomes louder than any noise they can make. People expect anger, tears, reaction. But when you give them nothing, when you stay still and look them in the eye with quiet confidence, they start to hear their own noise echoing back at them. The truth is, silence exposes people. It shows you who's uncomfortable with peace, who can't survive without drama, who only understands chaos. And when you stop engaging, they lose their grip. The storm passes, you remain. You see, silence is not emptiness. It's energy waiting to be used with precision. It's choosing to respond, not react. It's deciding that not every situation deserves a piece of your soul. You don't need to correct every lie, confront every insult, or explain your story to those committed to misunderstanding you. Your energy is sacred. Guard it. The one who controls their tongue controls their destiny. Words are weapons, but silence is the shield. It's what protects your peace while others burn theirs trying to hurt you. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It moves in silence, builds in silence, heals in silence, and conquers in silence. There will be moments when the world pushes you to react, when lies are spoken, when your name is dragged through the mud, when your kindness is mistaken for weakness. But that's when you must remember, silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You're not ignoring them because you can't respond. You're ignoring them because they don't deserve a response.
The older you get, the more you'll understand that peace is worth more than being right, that winning an argument often costs more energy than it's worth, that your time, your focus, and your calm are currencies, and you must spend them wisely. It takes strength to stay quiet when everything in you wants to scream. It takes wisdom to walk away when your ego wants to fight. It takes power to be calm in a world that feeds on chaos. But those who master this, they become untouchable, because when you're not controlled by emotion, no one can manipulate you. When you're not triggered by noise, no one can move you. There's a line between silence and avoidance, between peace and passivity. Silence isn't about running away from the world. It's about learning when to speak and when to stand still. It's knowing that not everything requires your energy. That sometimes the best way to respond is with your progress, your discipline, your success. The loudest people often have the weakest foundations. The ones who move quietly, they're the ones building something real. Every great transformation begins in silence. The seed grows in darkness. The mind sharpens in solitude. The heart heals when it stops explaining its pain. The soul becomes stronger when it stops chasing understanding. So when you're quiet, you're not losing your voice, you're finding it. You're teaching the world that your peace is not negotiable, that your worth doesn't depend on who notices it, that you've outgrown the need to be seen. People won't understand this version of you, the one that no longer reacts, no longer explains, no longer entertains noise. They'll call you distant, cold, detached. But that's only because they can no longer control you. You've stepped out of their emotional game. You've taken back your power. And here's the secret. Silence isn't just about staying quiet. It's about listening. When you stop talking, you start to hear. You hear your intuition, your truth, your purpose. You realize that peace was never something you had to find. It was something you had to protect. In silence, you'll learn who you really are. You'll learn what truly matters. You'll learn that strength isn't about how loud you roar. It's about how calm you stay when the world tests you. You'll realize that peace isn't given. It's earned through every moment you choose discipline over reaction, patience over pride, wisdom over ego. The calm person isn't someone who doesn't feel anger. It's someone who's learned not to become it. It's someone who has seen the cost of chaos and decided never to pay it again. That's the power you build in silence. Every insult becomes smaller. Every distraction fades. Every enemy loses meaning. Because silence teaches you to measure your response by the value of your peace. And once peace becomes your priority, everything changes. There's something beautiful about walking away quietly, about not needing closure, not needing to prove anything, not needing to be understood. You let people think what they want, say what they want, because you know the truth doesn't need defense. The truth stands on its own. One day you'll look back and realize that silence was your turning point. The moment you stopped explaining and started evolving. The moment you stopped reacting and started rising. The moment you realized you don't need to be seen to have value or heard to have meaning. You just needed to be still. And in that stillness, you'll find power. The kind of power that doesn't fade when people leave, that doesn't crumble when you're alone, that doesn't need applause to exist. The kind that comes from within, quiet, certain, eternal. So let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them think you're weak because you don't fight back. Because the truth is, they'll never understand the strength it takes to stay silent in a world that constantly demands noise. Real power doesn't need to shout, it simply is. And that's where your control begins, in silence.